I represent Mexico.
Yeah, you do, Canelo. That is one of the most honest things you'll ever hear from Canelo's mouth. Everything he does and says in the sport of boxing is a reflection of him representing Mexico. With that being said, Canelo Alvarez, he did an interview with Sway, and he says so much stuff that I'm going to make separate videos on unpacking it. Now, I'm going to play this short clip of what Canelo Alvarez said, but let me tell you, man, it is amazing how many times Canelo Alvarez contradicts himself in a 90-second clip or less.
Well, if the numbers were right with Crawford, you'll do it.
Why not? Why not? I think Crawford, don't get me wrong, he's a great fighter. But for me, in my weight class, it's an easy fight. For me, easy money. So if the money is right, I'm in. Because, you know, I don't like to fight guys like Crawford because he move a lot and the fight is not that great. I saw Crawford the last fight, and he don't move that much now. So if the money is right, I mean, why not?
How you think he did at that weight, at 154? How you think Crawford did?
You know, they are a weight class for a reason, and you need to ask him. It's different. I know in his mind he think he can do whatever he wants because he's very talented fighter. He's a very good fighter. I like how he fight, but that's why there are weight classes. And he knows now.
He knows now. You think he felt that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So Canelo, he says it's an easy fight. It's easy money. He says, but I don't like to fight fighters like that, fighters that move around, because it's not a good fight. First of all, Canelo, he got that line from Eddie Hearn. Eddie had been completely disrespecting Terence Crawford the entire week of the fight. You guys seen that clip when Crawford and Eddie Hearn were talking to each other on the field. And Crawford, he even said to Eddie Hearn, "You keep disrespecting me." Well, Eddie, he didn't stop with the disrespect there, because then he did this interview where he says the reason why Canelo Alvarez doesn't want to fight Crawford because all Crawford is going to do is move around the ring just like Jermell Charlo did. The reason why Canelo is choosing to fight Berlanga and he fought Munguia is because he wants a war. Ever since Eddie said that in an interview, Canelo Alvarez, now every interview he does, he repeats that and he says it verbatim. And these are major contradictions. First of all, Terence Crawford doesn't even move in the ring that much. He's knocked out all of his opponents at welterweight. You heard Canelo Alvarez say, well, you know, I like the way he fought against Madrimov. But Crawford fought Madrimov the exact same way that he fought Errol Spence. And what Terence Crawford did to Errol Spence, Canelo Alvarez has never put on a performance like that, getting a knockout win over a fighter on the level of an Errol Spence, a top 3, top 5 pound-for-pound champion. Every single time Canelo Alvarez fought someone that was on the level of an Errol Spence or even close, he either lost or won in a controversial fashion. The entire professional boxing community have been in awe of what they've seen Crawford do to Errol Spence. We've seen other fighters on a pound-for-pound list, like Naoya Inoue, praising Crawford, Alexander Usyk praising Crawford because of what he had did against Errol Spence and other opponents as well. Even years back when they were comparing Lomachenko to Terence Crawford in terms of who's pound-for-pound number one, even Lomachenko was praising Terence Crawford and actually said that he thought that Crawford was pound-for-pound the best fighter in the world. We don't hear any of these boxers praising Canelo Alvarez for any of his performances. Canelo couldn't even knock out a Jaime Munguia or a 40-year-old Gennady Golovkin. Do you guys know what Terence Crawford would do to Golovkin if they were naturally the same weight? And the same thing could be said about David Benavidez. We all know that if Crawford was naturally a super middleweight, he's in the same weight class as Canelo and David Benavidez, Crawford would be a heavy favorite to beat both of them, and he would knock them both out. But Canelo, he is right when he says there are weight classes for a reason. Weight does matter in the sport of boxing. And nobody knows that better than a Canelo Alvarez, who is usually 20 pounds bigger than a lot of his opponents, especially when he fought at 154 and 160. Fighting against fighters like Alfonso Gomez from the Contender, Josito Lopez, who had to jump up almost 2 weight classes to fight Canelo, Amir Khan, Floyd Mayweather, who he outweighed by 15 to 20 pounds. Miguel Cotto, who the night of the fight, he was about 20 pounds bigger than him. So there's no doubt size matters in the sport of boxing. Now I want to go back to him talking about Crawford moving too much in the ring. See, this is the reason why you don't start copying what you hear someone else say, especially when you already have a track record of what you have been doing in the ring. Canelo Alvarez had been calling out Floyd Mayweather for years before they fought. And he knew that Floyd Mayweather was going to be moving around the ring. Even though Floyd Mayweather, he doesn't move that much in the ring. You know who moves a lot in the ring? Amir Khan moves a lot in the ring. Caleb Plant moves a lot in the ring. Now, Caleb Plant, Billy Joe Saunders, and Caleb Smith, you know what they all have in common? Not only do they all move in the ring, but Canelo Alvarez was the one that was chasing these fights. He was the one pursuing these fights. He would not take no for an answer. In fact, all three of those fighters, they turned down the fight, the Canelo fight that was offered. And Canelo, he came back to the negotiation table and actually ended up giving them what they were asking for. That's how bad Canelo Alvarez wanted to fight these three fighters that move in the ring. So the truth is, Canelo, he loves to fight fighters that move in the ring as long as it's a guaranteed win. When you are truly a special gifted fighter, you can fight guys that come at you. You can fight guys that move away from you. You can fight guys that do nothing but counterpunch. You can fight overly aggressive, powerful, awkward fighters like Marcos Maidana and beat them. That's what makes you a special fighter. Not a fighter that can only look good against a Munguia or a Berlanga. I mean, you got undefeated prospects right now that would dominate those fighters. But how many boxers can dominate Errol Spence? Certainly not Canelo Alvarez. In fact, if we're talking about the same weight, Canelo Alvarez, he loses to a lot of Crawford's opponents. Canelo would lose to Madrimov. He would lose to Sean Porter. Hell, even in the Amir Khan fight, Canelo Alvarez, he was losing the whole fight. And then it's even more hypocritical because Canelo Alvarez, he has even moved in the ring when he fought against certain opponents, which is when you usually move. When he fought Golovkin the first time, he moved way more than Terence Crawford has ever moved in any fight. I remember leading up to the Alfredo Angulo fight, Canelo Alvarez, he said to the public, he said to the media that this is the kind of fight where you're going to see him move more. The reason why you don't see Canelo move a lot right now is because he's often the bigger, stronger opponent. So there's no reason for him to move. If you notice, Canelo Alvarez hasn't really fought a lot of fighters that were known for their power. So the truth is, those are the guys that he really doesn't like to fight. It's not the movers. It's the guys with a lot of power that come forward and have a little technique with it, like a David Benavidez. Canelo almost always chooses to fight some guy who moves around the ring and doesn't have that much power or is not that skilled. He usually always picks an opponent like that over the power puncher. And a lot of the power punchers that he did fight were guys that had already previously been knocked out before and were no longer the same fighter, like a Sergey Kovalev or even a James Kirkland, who was a beast when he was undefeated. At the end of the day, I'm going to keep saying this. Canelo Alvarez, he can continue to fight whoever he wants to fight. Because the truth is, no one really cares what Canelo does anymore. No one is paying attention to him anymore because he's refusing to give the fans the fights that they want to see. Chris Mannix, he came out saying that Canelo Alvarez, he doesn't owe David Benavidez anything. He doesn't have to fight him. He said he's too big, etc., etc. There's no reason to fight him, even though they have been fighting in the same weight class for years. But we ain't never heard him say that Terence Crawford is 37 years old. He doesn't have to fight anybody anymore. He can fight whoever he wants. At the end of the day, if Canelo doesn't want to fight the best anymore, then he should be removed off of everyone's pound-for-pound list. Because being one of the best fighters in the world, it means you're beating the best. Terence Crawford, he just beat Errol Spence and Madrimov back-to-back. When Canelo Alvarez was at 154, he had an opportunity to fight the Charlo brothers and Demetrius Andrade. Same thing when he was at 160. Now that Canelo is at 168, he had an opportunity to fight David Morrell and David Benavidez. He didn't fight either one of them. But instead, he fights Berlanga and Munguia because he wanted a war. But he didn't want a war with David Benavidez? Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And for the record, just because a fighter comes forward and he's flat-footed and he's easy to hit does not make the fight a war. That's like calling the Jaron Ennis versus Roy Manvilla fight a war. It wasn't a war. It was just a one-sided beatdown. An aggressive flat-footed fighter coming forward, getting the brakes beat off of him by Ennis. A war is the last thing that Canelo Alvarez wants. Canelo doesn't want to be in a Eric Morales Barrera type of fight. He doesn't want to be in a Diego Corrales, Jose Luis Castillo type of fight. That's why he's not fighting David Benavidez. In fact, I already made a video on this. I reported it. His trainer, he came out and he said, Canelo Alvarez now, he's like 33 years old. We have to be very careful with who we match him up with now because this is towards the end of his career. Canelo is actually 34 years old now. And once again, Terence Crawford is 37. And Floyd Mayweather, he fought a much bigger, much younger Canelo Alvarez at age 36, actually closer to 37, because his birthday was right around the corner. So look at who Crawford is fighting at age 36, age 37. Look at who Floyd Mayweather was fighting at age 36. And look at who Canelo Alvarez is fighting at 33. And his trainer believes that they have to protect him from fighting against dangerous opponents. Like I said, it's okay if Canelo wants to cherry pick for the rest of his career. He's just not one of the best fighters in the world, and he shouldn't be on anyone's list. I'm on to the next one.
Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full-service legal practice based in Denver, Colorado, an emerging hub for combat sports and high-altitude training. If you're a fighter inside or outside of the ring and you need a law firm you can trust to fight for you, visit thefighterfirm.com or email help@iilawfirm.com. Legal representation is usually limited to plaintiffs or defendants in Colorado, but iFirm can help anyone in the world with trademarking their business name, logos, and U.S. immigration issues. This brother has been my attorney for a while and helped guide me through all kinds of business and civil issues, so make sure you guys go to thefighterfirm.com.
All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, fever blisters, diabetic ulcers, this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called Elo Diki Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to elodiki.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram.